Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. Today is a good day. We're going to keep on with the theme that we talked about last week, which is finish strong and get ready. As promised, today is all about organization. We're going to tell you guys how we started out because we didn't have it all figured out in the beginning, and then we're going to tell you how we evolved and how we now run the multi-million-dollar business that we have and all the clients, 3,800 clients in 26 countries across the world. So it's really important to be planning and organizing and getting prepared for next year when it comes to this. People all the time, they don't know quite when to start taking those next steps. There's so many different elements to your business, and you have to really know when it's the right time to take those steps. And sometimes it can be scary to take those steps or buy that new program or take that new space or do whatever you need to do in order to continue to grow. But we're here to help you guys with that. So let's get started. In the beginning, our business was total chaos. We didn't have it all figured out like we do now. We didn't have all the systems and programs and space and everything that we have to help us run the business. In fact, we didn't have a CRM in the beginning. We didn't have a task management system in the beginning. We didn't have automated billing system. I remember every month we had to manually process these billings, right? And they were recurring billings. So it was a lot of work for you, especially taking care of all of that every single month. Full-time job. Now it's much easier, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. We didn't have a lead management system that managed all of our leads, and we were running everything on a shoestring budget when it came to actually our stuff. So our computers and our systems, everything that we needed. I mean, I remember using like secondhand mouses and keyboards and just junk. It was junk. We were just putting all this junk together, trying to, keep this business up and running and really get it going. So we also were working out of a house in the beginning, which, by the way, I'm not dissing on that. We all started there. Apple started in a garage. Every big business out there, we all start in homes. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's where we started. And that's where a lot of our listeners probably are today. And we're going to talk about that. That jumps right into our next topic, which is office space. It's time to decide, where are you at with your office space? Where are you currently working out of? If you're working out of your home, is it time to move on from that? And we found out that pretty easily. It was time to move on. We were at the time actually working out of Troy's office, or at home, his house. And it was funny. We had this meeting coming up, and it was an important meeting, and we were super excited about it. And so we went and we locked the door just to make sure that nobody just, got in the way or disrupted it or anything like that. And so it was funny. All of a sudden, right as we get on the call, all of a sudden we can hear the vacuum going in the background. We're like, oh, okay, well, it's fine. It's fine. We'll just pretend like it's, someone in cleaning the office and everything like that. Well, all of a sudden, in the middle of this call, we hear the dunk, where it's like the lock on the door had been popped open, and we're like, oh no. And here comes Troy's wife. She comes walking in with the vacuum, and she's doing such a great job. She's helping us keep everything clean and everything, but we're here in the middle of this like really important, exciting call, and it's like vroom, 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 and we're like, oh my gosh. And so we were like, okay, we've moved to where we need to not be in a space where somebody's going to be coming in, or they've got to live out. Troy had to live out of the house. The kids came home at 3:00. It just made sense that it was time for us to move on. In fact, there's a really funny story of when, even prior to that, when we were working out of Ron's house. So we kind of moved around a little bit from space to space as bigger space became available. And we were working out of Ron's house. And Troy, tell that story, because it is so funny.
Yeah. So, and to add on to Trevor's story too, when I built that house, I actually had the option of a bigger garage or adding on a sixth bedroom.
Yep.
And I chose this sixth bedroom because that was going to be where we worked out of.
Yeah.
And so I made that decision on my house based on, this is going to be our office for quite a while. And then quickly realized that was not going to work out.
Nah.
So now I actually have like two offices in my house. So my wife has an office and I have an office.
Remember, Troy only has 3 kids and he's got a 6-bedroom house. So
yeah. So probably should have thought a little bit more, planned ahead a little bit more, as far as my business and our business when I was building that house. Now, so the other story you wanted me to share was we were working out of Ron's house and we had employees So they were literally driving over and coming to Ron's house and working out of Ron's house.
Yeah, because we had multiple offices in Ron's house because it was just Ron and Karen living there. And so we had all these extra rooms. So we're like, hey, great, this is a bigger space. We're so excited.
Yes. So, and I remember we were off doing like a sales call, like with a potential client. And so we finish up the call, we come back to the house and we walk into one of our employees' their office, which is one of the bedrooms. Yeah. And instead of being on the desk working, she was actually laying on the bed, the guest bed, asleep.
Yeah, she was sleeping, fully asleep. It was hilarious. And we're like, hello? Hey. And she's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I was just so tired. I stayed out so late last night. And I had too many drinks.
Yeah.
And I just remember like looking at Troy like, what did she just tell us? Like, awesome. That's a great excuse. Yeah. I was just off late last night, drink too much. Now I got to take a nap in the middle of my work day.
I think that's the same day that she also asked us for an advance on her paycheck because she was going to go out drinking again that night. Yeah. And it was her turn to buy alcohol. Yes. So she needed an advance.
And she didn't think she'd have gas money to get there the next day to the office if we didn't give her an advance. And we were like,
Yeah. So it doesn't always work out like perfect in the beginning. Yeah. But yeah, that's, so there's great things about having your office in your house.
Yeah.
But there's also challenges that you're going to face as you start to grow the business.
Absolutely. So it's like we need to look at, is it time to move? And if it is time to move, if you're in a smaller space or if you're at home, what should you be going to next? Because a lot of people make a big mistake. They jump right into a commercial space with this big fat lease, and they don't realize all the additional costs that come with that lease. Like, for instance, a lot of people don't realize you pay for the AC units on the roof. If something breaks on that, the landlord doesn't cover it most of the time. It's usually you. So you're having to call and get this taken care of. And guess what? You don't even own those AC units. You don't own the space. It's crazy to me that you have to pay for that. But that's how it is. So the question is it time to move, and what kind of workspaces are out there? So what kind of workspaces could they look for, Troy?
Yeah, so there's a lot of great options out there. One is like a shared workspace, and that's one of the things that we did, which was, they're
so popular right now.
Yeah, exactly. There's tons of shared spaces out there where basically you're not going to be there, 24/7, and you may not even have the same desk. Right. Like you just bounce around from the different available desks.
Yeah, like an open office area.
Yes, exactly. But the nice thing about those is that you have the ability to network with other businesses that are using that same space. Yep. And it's not going to cost you as much money because you're not paying for it to have it 24/7. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's a good option.
They offer conference rooms, things like that.
Exactly. And the other options too is if you want more of a like steady space where you have more control over it and you don't have to worry about, is something going to be available? You can do, which is one of the things we also did, which was basically rent a room, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do an executive suite. Yep. So you can either go to other businesses that are out there that may have extra rooms in their commercial building and rent space from them. And again, you get access to all the amenities and things like that. Yep.
Insurance agents, a lot of times, they have more space than they can use. And that's a good place to start is if you know any insurance agents, find out if they have open offices. You might be able to pick up one or two of those offices and be able to move into a more, professional space too.
Yeah, exactly. For example, like the chiropractor I go to had an office in Tempe, Arizona, wanted to open one up in Gilbert. But before he's going to go buy a commercial property and, really commit to Gilbert, he rented out several, rooms from a CPA. Oh. Right. Well, smart. CPA has a great building, but he's not busy all year round. Oh yeah. So he has extra space, so he just rented that out. Now he can grow the customer base right there. Yep. And then once he has a strong customer base in Gilbert, then he can pick a commercial spot.
Absolutely.
Because the other thing you got to remember too is if you go right to commercial, usually, and even renting sometimes, if you get if you rent a whole building, you got to, sign a contract for like 5 years.
Yes.
And that means that you have to plan your growth so that you don't outgrow that space inside of the terms of that contract.
Right. And or fill it enough that it made it worth it, you know? And that's like our CPA, for instance. That's one of the things they do is they invest in these commercial properties, and right there at their own office, they have several chunks of the building that are created for other businesses to rent from them. It's a smart way to pay for their buildings.
Yes.
And it was so big and worked so well, they actually built a separate building. They bought the lot behind them, built another building, and they rent that out now too. It worked really, really well.
Yeah, exactly. So those are
creative.
Great options. Yeah, exactly. Get creative until you're ready to really put down your roots.
Yeah.
And be in one spot.
Yeah, because a lot of our people, a lot of our listeners, they have commercial vehicles too.
Yep.
So they need a yard. So the question is that I've seen where a AC company rents some space from a plumbing company, because maybe the plumbing company, they went to a bigger plumbing company and they had a big yard. They weren't maximizing it. They had some offices available in the front, and the AC company didn't need like a location people could show up to.
Right.
And so they just really needed the yard. And so get creative if you know other businesses in the area, or just simply walk in the door. You go in the front door and you ask. I have a chiropractor who is meeting, one of my chiropractor clients who's meeting with one of my CrossFit gyms, because the CrossFit gym's not open 24/7. They have all this downtime. They only have certain classes. And so the chiropractor is actually going to take and rent the gym from them for certain times of the day where he can bring clients in and use the gym, has an office space that he can, go in and do adjustments and all sorts of different things. It's about getting creative and growing at the right pace.
Yes.
Taking, not getting too big of a commitment and biting off more than you can chew.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, next thing we want to talk about today is customer data.
Mm-hmm.
How are you handling it? What are you doing it with? So, Trevor, why don't you lead off that one?
Well, it's a good one because are you paperless, or are you paper, or are you digital? And at this time, in this day and age, you should be paperless on pretty much everything you do. And it's funny because we were the same way.
Yep.
In the beginning, I remember as we would build websites, we had a folder for every stage of the website. And it was like we had to move all of these people through these different folders. We were like, oh, they're in this stage now. And it was just like taking it from this folder to the next folder. And it was the only way that we knew how to keep it organized. But you really should be going paperless. And I was at one of our clients the other day. Again, sorry, my dentist. Some of you guys have a hard time, getting these businesses really being efficient. And it's not your fault. You want to do what you do best, and you have somebody up front running the office, and they may not always know what they're doing. And that's why we do have a lot of dental clients, chiropractor clients, is that, they need more help, and there's nothing wrong with needing help. That's why we do a podcast, so that we can give out free. We have tons of knowledge. This knowledge just comes from years of experience in building multiple companies and multiple products and doing what we've done, traveling the world. So helping all these different businesses. So one of our dentists, I went to show them, we had our monthly meeting, and I went and I pulled up my laptop and I pulled out my just spreadsheet. It was very simple. My spreadsheet of here's how many leads you guys have gotten. Here's what the average cost of lead was. And then here's what the potential lead total was. So, a couple $100,000 in leads. And I said, now, great, where are you at? Which one of these have you closed? And the dentist looked at the front desk gal and said, well, where are we at? And she goes, oh, hold on. And she runs up front, and then she comes running back to the back again, and she's got a manila folder with her. And I'm thinking, why does she have a manila folder? I've assumed she's grabbing a laptop or something like that. And she opens the manila folder, and she's printing these leads off, and she's printing them out, and she's writing notes on them. And so I'm like, okay, where are we at with this customer? Well, let's see. I contacted him here, but didn't get a response. And then, I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure I emailed them too. I'm pretty sure. And I think I even followed with another phone call. And it was just like, she couldn't report. They had no idea how to report which ones had closed. It was a mess. They weren't tracking. And I thought, this is crazy. You guys are still using paper to track all these leads and everything. There's so many amazing programs out there. So we helped introduce them to a good program that they could use. It's totally, it blows my mind, because there's a lot of businesses out there, and some of you listeners you're guilty of this. I know it. You're going, and you have your manila folder sitting on the chair next to you, or, in your car on the passenger seat. You got all your manila folders and you're doing it, and it's okay. But that's the point of this topic today, is it's time to get ready. And so we'll talk about some, systems that you guys can use. Let's talk about the CRM system? Because that was more about like customer data. Let's talk about like tracking customers, a CRM system, making notes and all of that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's really important. It's really important, and I'm surprised at how many businesses that we talk to that we say, hey, do you have a CRM? And they're like, what is a CRM?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's like, customer relationship management. Like it's how you manage your customers' data, like how you know what you're doing with them.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I definitely don't have that. And it's like, okay, do you have like a spreadsheet with like all your customers in it? No, I don't have that.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, like how are you running the business without that? So a CRM is really, really important. And if you're not familiar with the CRM, it's basically where you keep all of your customer information. You're going to have their business name, you're going to have their contact information, and then you're going to start putting in like notes about them. Like, it could be, some of them have tasks systems where you can like track like, hey, I'm going to assign this task and then I'm going to do it and I'm going to close that task out.
And every time you talk to the customer, you should be able to pull this system up very simply.
Yes.
Type the customer in, it pops up with them, and you can make a note. That's what a good CRM system will do for you. But
exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's managing your relationship with your customer so that at a glance, you can pull up a customer and look at everything you've done with that customer. When's the last time you communicated with them?
Yeah.
What's the last thing you guys agreed upon? What's the last time they spent money with you?
Yeah.
All that information should be in your CRM. So,
and if you're doing it on your own, you still need a CRM. But if you have employees, you have to have a CRM.
Yes.
Because you need to require your employees that every time they interact with a customer, they make a note in the CRM. Every single time. So that way you can, if a customer calls up and they're ticked off about something, they're really mad or whatever it is, you can go back to the note and see what that employee did. And if they didn't make notes on the customer, well, guess what? And especially if they're calling up ticked, they probably didn't make notes for a reason.
Right.
And it's time to look at that employee and what are they doing and how are they really performing, and maybe even reach out to your clients and talk to them personally to find out how that employee's been doing for you.
Yep, exactly. So the CRM is like, it really is kind of the lifeblood of the business when it comes to controlling your customer data. Then on the other side of that, there's also the lead side, which you talked a little bit about. So I wanted to kind of, talk about that a little bit because there are a couple of systems that you can use out there that will make it really, really easy.
To do all of it.
Yeah.
In one setting. And we'll talk about our system, which we have talked about, the one program we can't run our business out. We'll talk about that a little bit, but this is going to be more of like the beginners, getting that from the I'm doing it all on my own and I'm not doing anything and I'm not tracking anything to how do I take the first steps to do this? And these are two good programs for that.
Exactly. So one of the systems that a lot of times we recommend for our clients is a company called Pipedrive, and it's a really great leads management tool.
Yeah.
So, the kind of the nuts and bolts of it are you can either, you have an app that goes on your phone, you can enter customers, leads into it right through the app, or you can put a form on your website where people will fill it out because they're interested in your services, and then it automatically goes into Pipedrive, and then you can set up these like stages of, I've got a lead, that's stage 1. Stage 2 is I've reached out and tried to contact the prospect.
Yeah.
So you can move them from stage to stage very quickly. And you also can keep your notes in there of exactly what's happened. You can send out emails from it, and it will like grab your emails and put them in there so you can see, your correspondence with them. You can mark in there whether you've made phone calls to them, so you really know what you're doing. And you can even assign a value to them.
Yes.
So hey, this is how much this job will be worth if I land it. Yep. And then you move them through the stages so that you can very quickly look at a report and say, okay, so far this month I've closed $30,000 in sales off of my leads, and I have another $45,000 in sales sitting out there that are moving through my stages.
Yeah.
So who should I contact next?
Exactly. And let me tell you how well that works. This simple system, how effective it is. We have a client that's a contractor. He started a new part of his business. He does multiple millions a year, but he started a new section of his business, and we wanted to, we meet with him and we sit down and we say, okay, where are we at and this and that. The other day, he was in his truck and I met with him and just said, hey, where are you at? What are you going to do? It's the end of the year. How are you finishing out this year with the new piece of the business? And he was able to pull open his Apple iPad. It wasn't even a laptop or anything like that. He pulled open his Apple iPad, he pulled it up, and he was like, cool, this new portion of my business is doing $500,000 this year, and about $275,000 of that is all profit. And he had each and every lead. He had notes on them. He had where they closed, which ones didn't, everything. He was able to just pull it up, boom, like that.
Yeah. I mean, you talk to a lot of businesses that aren't using a system like that, and it would be like, okay, let me get back to you in a week.
Exactly.
And I'll try to put those numbers together for you.
Exactly.
And he had it instantly there. So another one that's really good is there's the company Keep.
Yep.
That's KEAP.
Yep.
And they have a couple of different versions of their software that are very simple. Again, running it from an app on your phone, and it can get the lead in. It can create the invoice. You can send invoices to be paid. And it can even do follow-up emails. And again, you can move people through stages. So it's a way to, control that customer data and be, know to the very minute what's going on with that customer.
And what I love about Keep, and we did a whole podcast interviewing the creator of Keep, that it will grow with you.
Yes.
You can start with, the version 1.0 or whatever they're calling it, and then it will move and you can actually grow with you. And then it will evolve eventually when you're to where we're at into Infusionsoft, which is the program that we use. And so remember, we talked about we didn't have a CRM, we didn't have task management, we didn't have automated billing, we didn't have a lead management system. So that Infusionsoft is what Keep starts at. It starts with Keep, and that's like your first step, right? And then there's levels within Keep, and then you can move to using the full-blown Infusionsoft program, which does all of that for us.
Yeah,
it runs everything.
Yeah, that's where all of our customer data is housed, and
notes are made.
Yeah, notes, reporting, task management. Everything is done in Infusionsoft. And at a glance, literally every time I open up my browser and it logs into my Infusionsoft account, I know exactly to the penny what I've billed so far this month. I know exactly what I'm going to bill by the end of the month. I know how many sales my sales team has made. I know how many leads have come in the door. I know how many emails I've sent out. I know how many leads are in every stage. Like, it's literally, I have a dashboard that at a glance in less than 30 seconds, I can see all of the stats of my business that help us make business decisions.
Which was amazing to me, because here's something that happened the other day is something happened with the merchant processing, and Troy gets a notification every day of what we build. So he sees that all of a sudden this billing was teeny tiny, and he's like, whoa, no, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that should have been billed today. What's going on? But because we got that notification, and because we had this system that, runs everything and processes everything, it was just one quick phone call, boom, all the billings went through, nothing was wrong, we didn't miss anything, we didn't miss out on money. Think about that. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars not billed, and we wouldn't have known it unless we were tracking it.
Yeah, most businesses wouldn't have known until the end of the month when they went, wait a minute, like, why is my bank account lower?
Whoa, why am I missing tens of thousands of dollars? Yeah. That's way low, It was awesome.
Yep, exactly. So, customer data is really, really important.
Yep.
And then the other thing I want to talk about too is task management.
Yeah. So if you're not using Infusionsoft, which is the full-blown program where we manage all of our tasks out of, a lot of them, you can then use this one that is more of an entry level. And we still actually do use this program.
We do.
For different projects and systems and programs that we're doing out there, so that we can track things in another way. Exactly. It's always good to have redundancy, backups, and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, like, again, like Trevor talked about in the beginning, when we were doing our website projects, we were literally we got an order form in, and it would be like, hey, new sale. And that would go in the new sale folder. And then once we created the back end of the website, okay, move them into, created the template. Okay, now once you've completed, like, we've moved this
added
order
content.
Form. Yes,
applied logo.
Oh yeah, and it was like ridiculous, right? But that's how we started, and it was fine. That's how we got started. But now when with all of the things that we're doing, all the projects, all the customers, we need something way more robust, so that nothing is being missed along the way. Yeah. And so one of the systems that we use is called Basecamp. And it's a great task management tool. We especially use it for our development projects, because in those situations, it's not necessarily, those tasks aren't around a customer.
No, yeah, exactly.
Right? We have all these customers that are using the software, but when it comes to developing our software, that's with the development team. Yeah. So we're using that program to manage the tasks, the issues, the bugs, anything between us and the development team. Yeah. So it's outside of Infusionsoft, because Infusionsoft is for our customers' data.
Exactly. And you have to, like, if anybody has programmers out there that's listening right now, you know what I'm talking about. Even though our development team is literally right here, I walk out of my office, I walk into their office, you still have to manage. It's not good enough if we're not managing and mapping out. And we can use Basecamp to even map out the project and then manage each step of the way. And if you're doing it right, you've got backup after backup after backup. And I mean, we've got Basecamp, we've got whiteboards, we've got programmer whiteboards specific. So we're making sure all along the way, I can just look over on my wall and go, hey, where are we at on number 2? Where are we at on number 3? I don't even have to pull up Basecamp, but then I've got Basecamp where they are reporting to me. They're checking off. And so I'll get an email in the morning and go, oh, he did check off number 2. So I walk over to my board and I cross out number 2. So I'm always checks and balances, making sure that projects and systems are staying on process, on time, and on budget.
Yeah, the other thing that we do with Basecamp, which I love, probably one of my most favorite features in Basecamp, is you can set up these like reminders. So like we have a reminder that basically goes out, it shoots an email out to everybody in the company at 4:00. Every single day, Monday through Friday, and it says, hey, what did you work on today? And then they take 5 to 10 minutes and they just, type in, I worked on this, right? Hit submit, and then boom, everybody in the company gets an email saying, hey, this is what this person worked on today. And
it's kind of cool because if you're building morale and everything, it's got where you can like give it a rocket ship and you can give it a thumbs up. You can give it like, confetti. You can do all this stuff to be like, good job. Hey, great job, Rich. You completed this step, and the team can get behind each other and get excited. So that's kind of fun.
As the owner of the business, I don't have to worry about, I wonder if my employees got anything done today, right? Because they're reporting to me. If they don't report to me, then it's like, whoa. What happened? Why didn't you report what you worked on today? So I love that feature. The other thing that's really great with it is also like all of your tasks. It will basically, you can have it set up to where it'll email you in the morning, or at the beginning of the week, however you choose to do it. Like a lot of times we have our setup at the beginning of the week. Like, hey, FYI, here are all your open tasks, that you haven't completed yet. So that way, it's like when I start off on Monday morning, it's like, oh yeah, I got to work on all of these things.
Exactly.
So Basecamp's a really great way to manage your tasks. All right, let's go on to the next one. Let's talk about programs and equipment.
Programs and equipment. So I'm talking about computers. I'm talking about tools. I'm talking about however you run your business, what you need to run your business. And in the beginning, we might be, if it's tools, we're buying secondhand tools, or we're buying stuff from Harbor Freight, or whatever it is that we're doing.
We're buying a van with, 500,000 miles on it.
That looks like a creeper van. That is like, used to be an ice cream truck, and now it's your carpet cleaning van, and everybody's like, sees you coming through, you're like, it's what equipment are you using? What programs are you using? Computers, like I said in the beginning, we were using secondhand, mouse, and we were using secondhand keyboards and computers that, were junk. But we were just getting things up and running. We were working on that shoestring budget that we had.
Well, here, let me throw in a story in there too. You made me think of something when you said it. Our good friend, Josh Latimer.
Awesome.
Built several, multi-million-dollar businesses. His first business that he built was window cleaning. And I don't remember the exact car. It was like maybe a Honda Civic or something like that. But his first vehicle for his business was like a Honda Civic or some car, not a truck, not a
And it was old.
It was old, super old. And he literally like bungee corded a ladder on top of it, and that's how he did it. And he went from that to a multi-million-dollar, window cleaning business that he sold. So, and that's one of his favorite stories. He always shows that picture to people like, this is how I started my business.
Absolutely.
So no shame. I don't want anyone to feel like, I've got that crappy van, or I've got this whatever.
Exactly.
Like we all started that way.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm saying is our equipment, there is no shame when you're starting your business. I'm not ashamed of where we came from. I'm excited. When we're bought for $100 million, or maybe we'll hit $1 billion, when we get bought for that or something like that, I will love to tell the story of where we started out, and Troy's wife comes in vacuuming during one of like the most important meetings at the time in our business. It's awesome. It's so much fun. It's our roots. It's where we started. When I first got married and started this company, I was driving a Nissan Altima that was like older than I was, and the windows wouldn't roll down. And I live in Arizona, so it's like 120 degrees outside, no AC, windows wouldn't roll down. I literally had to bring a separate pair of clothes to work, so that by the time I got to work, I was drenched in sweat, and I would, go inside, and I would have to, luckily it was at Ron's place, place, and I would jump in the shower, take a shower, put another pair of clothes on. And then my wife said to me one time, she says, why don't you just keep some clothes at work? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess there are closets. It's a house. And so, but I mean, that's what I drove when we first got married, when we first started this business. It was a piece of junk. I mean, sometimes I was locked in. I couldn't even get out of the vehicle. I was like, oh, I can't. And I was like kicking the door, and but it was fun. Oh, I kept an extra alternator with me at all times because the alternator would just go out. And luckily back then it was like you could buy from AutoZone, unlimited life alternator that they would change it every single time. So I would literally go through alternators every couple of months. This was my life. I would get the tools out on the side of the road and be changing my alternator out. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed of any of that.
No.
We all start somewhere. I'm not a trust fund baby.
Right.
I didn't get my first, little loan from daddy for $1 million or whatever that was. I mean, so don't be ashamed at all. But the question is it time? Have you been holding off on buying that new program or buying that new computer or buying that new tool that's going to make, it's going to make your life better? It's going to make it easier and more efficient, and it's going to give you more time. Time is money, and time is the most precious thing that we have. It's the one thing that's not guaranteed in life for sure. It's time. We never know when our time is up. So taking that step and buying that tool, buying that computer, look at it. Are you at the point where you can do that? Are you at the point where you can upgrade the van, or you can, upgrade the car? You can do whatever it is that's going to better your business and ultimately better, help your clients even more because you're more efficient. It's time to look at that. And so the next thing that I want to talk about
real quick before you leave on that one, I'll give you a perfect example. So back probably, oh my gosh, almost 10 years ago, we ran everything on, PCs. Oh, and like every 6 months, I would have to go and I would have to back up all of the computers, all the data. Then I would have to wipe all of the computers, and I would have to do a fresh install of Windows to get them back to where they were running fast enough that we could still use them. And I would literally spend about 2 or 3 days doing all this crap. Oh, yeah. And it was ridiculous. And then I finally switched over to a Mac, and I never had to do that again. So then I talked Trevor into switching to a Mac, and I talked Ron into switching to a Mac, and then we made our whole company Macs. And literally, I have never had to work on one of our company computers in the last 10 years.
That's right.
I've never had a problem. So that saved me. Think about that. So if I was spending 2 to 3 days every 6 months, that is what, 4 to 6 work days. Yes. That's an entire week out of the whole year that I wasted just trying to keep what we were using running. Yes. Oh, yeah. And I remember, not to mention the couple of times that the computers crashed on me. A computer crashed on me a couple of times, and I lost like everything. It was horrible. Like, you start all over. And again, we were bootstrapping. We were learning. We were still learning. We didn't have backups of backups. And so we had an older version of the backup of my computer, and it was just a mess. It was horrible. So along those lines of equipment, I want to talk about passwords. Yes. Passwords. Okay. Because everybody's got passwords. I don't care if you're a service business and you're out in trucks, or you're an online business, whatever it is, you've got passwords, bank accounts and program logins and everything like that. How do you keep it? And I guarantee most people, it's crazy, most people use the same password over and over and over and over and over again. And in this day and age, you are screwed if somebody ever a hacker gets that password. Yeah, and I think that password that everybody uses is steal my money. Exclamation point. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, exactly. Or like my last name 1. I mean, it's like, dude, everybody's gonna figure it out. I remember when we first got an alarm system on our house, and my kid's friend came over, and they were laughing about something. I said, "What are you guys laughing about?" And she's like, "Oh, my daughter's like, she totally guessed our password for the alarm system because I hadn't changed it yet. They just set it up, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4." Yeah. And she's like, "You guys could break into my house real easy." And her friend's like, "What could it be? 1, 2, 3, 4?" And she's like, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" Right. And so passwords. How do you manage passwords? Well, we use a program that's free, and it's awesome, and it's called LastPass. And we're not getting any promotion off of this. We don't have an affiliate with them. We're just trying to give you guys great information that can help you run your businesses more smoothly. LastPass is something cool where you can
put in passwords, and when you go to that website, it will actually pop up and say, do you want to put the password in, and the username and password, and you just click enter and it puts it in, and you can actually share those passwords with other people. So like in our company with our employees, we don't give them the passwords. What we do with LastPass is we share it with them, and they aren't able to see the password.
Right.
They're only able to see like the username, but not the password. And we can revoke, their ability to use it at any time. So it's made our lives so easy. In fact, I switched my phone over the other day, and I don't know what happened. The backups didn't work. Thanks, Apple. And I lost everything for the last 2 years. Luckily, I had LastPass. It's got an app for your phone too. So I was able to go back to all my websites and just use LastPass to log back in. All these programs, everything. LastPass was a lifesaver when it came to that.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is you just have to remember one password, which is the LastPass password.
Yep.
And then you can even have it create passwords for you.
Yeah,
like when you go to a new website, you're signing up, you can be like, LastPass, create me a password that is 36 characters long, and it will create it, and then it will remember what it is.
Super cool.
So that you never have to remember it ever again.
That's right.
So
Super
great
awesome.
way. And again, like Trevor said, the sharing with your employees is awesome.
Oh,
because, if you ever have to, an employee quits
go.
or let them go, you just literally go in and go revoke, boop, and now they don't have access to anything.
Yeah, that used to be such a horrifying experience. I was like terrified to let somebody go or if they quit, because I was like, oh my gosh, what if they log in and screw everything up, and I've got to try to what did they put their password as? And it was just a nightmare. This way they can't even choose passwords. We choose everything. We control everything. It's awesome. All right, so what's the next thing?
Okay, so the next thing we've got on here is weekly effective meetings.
Yeah.
So as you're going into the new year, you should be thinking about, how can I set up and make sure that we're having weekly effective meetings?
Yeah.
Now, I say weekly, but you may need to have them twice a week. You may need to have them once every 2 weeks. That's up to you and your business.
Yeah.
But the reason why you want to set up meetings and schedule meetings ahead of time is for a couple of reasons. Like, for example, we have our company meeting. It is every Tuesday.
Yep.
Right? And it is scheduled for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So it is a short meeting. The reason why it's short is because we're not going to sit around and waste time talking about things when we could be getting things done.
Yep.
So what do we do in the meeting? Well, it's very, very simple. I send out an agenda on Monday. It tells the employees exactly what they need to be reporting on, which is pretty much the same thing every week. Mm-hmm. All of their stats. They fill it out ahead of time. Right? So that way that we as owners, we can look through it, get an idea of, know it, so nothing's a surprise. And then we can actually adjust the agenda based on what we're seeing from the employees. Yes. And then we have that meeting, and the employees get up, they report their stats. They say, look, here's what we did, boom, 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 boom. And then they say, here's, any issues I'm having right now. And then if we need to brainstorm real quick on that, we can do that. Or we push it out to another meeting. Yep. But then we get them back to working. So, you want to have specific stats reported. You want to assign tasks in the meeting. So if we're talking about, oh, hey, we have, one of our employees goes, oh man, I have this one issue that I'm dealing with. Great. Rich, we need you to fix this. Boom. Mm-hmm. Task assigned. So Rich doesn't have to go, oh, what was it that I was supposed to do from that meeting? No, it's already been assigned to him before he even walked out the door. Right. And then you're out the door. So it's a very effective meeting that gets everything done. It keeps the owners and everyone on the team aware of how the company is doing.
And held accountable.
And they're all held accountable.
And what's funny is I was just reading an article the other day that said Elon Musk, how he is so productive and keeps his company running and everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to click on this and see what he talks about. And it was a whole thing talking about how he doesn't have meetings. And I'm like, this just brings me back to this is so silly. And this is what happens when somebody has too much money or investors' money. They have other people's money. They don't care about where every dollar is going. I don't have investors' money. I have built my business from the ground up, bootstrap on my back, right? On our back.
Yes.
So I account, even though we're doing lots and lots of money, we do very well, I am still accounting for every single dollar and where it's going. I guarantee when you were VP of that publicly traded company that was up to like $120 million a year, how much money was wasted every single month?
Tons of money was wasted every single month.
Yeah. Tell them how one department sucked out all the profit from another department. How much money was that?
Oh yeah, we had one department, one side of the company that was literally losing over $1 million a month. So what they were having to do is they were having to take the profits out of my division and then put those over to cover those losses on the other side.
Yes.
But again, when it came down to reporting, there weren't meetings where we all got together and we all reported everything and everybody knew. It was, that was never done. So, the other department, they could go and lose $1 million in a month and no one even realized it.
Yeah, it was such a big company that the execs would get together, right? And there was reporting done there. And it was like Troy was the one that was bringing all the awareness to this. He's like, guys, look at this department over here. And they're like, well, yeah, but that's really so-and-so's department. Yes, but look at it. It's losing all of this money. And it was like, when Troy came in as VP for that company, he had to go in and really just restructure and go after these guys. And a problem is with publicly traded companies is they have board of directors, and it's like you can't get anything done because these people, they don't necessarily know what it is that you're doing. They're not professionals at what you're doing. They're just like, most of those guys were on the board of multiple companies.
Yeah.
And they were the ones making decisions for this, and it's like that company was completely different than this company and this company and this company, and it's just like, well, we make money, we've made money in our lives, we've done this, we know what we're doing. But they didn't. They were losing millions of dollars.
Right.
And I mean, at one point I remember when they came in and they finally were like, oh my gosh, yeah, like you're right about this department over here, and they wiped out a whole department of employees and brought it down to one. They had a department of lots and lots of employees that was losing money for years upon years. And then they brought it down to one person who was doing everything that whole department was doing. There was people that literally hadn't done hardly anything.
Yes.
Forever.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why reporting and your weekly meetings are important.
Yeah.
Because that's
like
how you
watching
keep
Netflix and stuff.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Playing video games. I mean, one department, you walked in one time and there was a department that the guys, weren't they playing like Xbox or something? There was something, they were playing video games or an online Doom or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was actually, exactly. It was actually the IT department, surprisingly, right? So the IT department, I walk in because something had broke and the system was down. And they're like, yeah, go away. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Like I'd hear something going on. And then I hear over the guy's computer speakers, he's like, up to the left, shoot that guy up to the left. And I'm like, what? And I recognize the voice because it's one of the other IT guys. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. We have something broken. We're a technology company.
Yeah.
Something's broken and you guys are playing video games right now,
oh my
gosh. Instead of monitoring that and realizing that something's broken. So weekly meetings, really important.
Guarantee Elon Musk is losing lots and lots of money without having some sort of meetings and structure. It's insane. I was like,
all right. So now let's move on to, scheduling time to organize your day.
Yep.
And this is this is like what I call a life hack. And it's good for your business, good for your personal life. But you should literally schedule time in your workday and in your personal life where you can actually organize what's going to happen in your day.
Yeah.
So you can either do it at the end of the workday, so maybe the last 30 minutes before you head home.
Which is the best in my opinion. I've done both, but yes.
Yep. That's a really good time to just say, you know what, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. Maybe it's 15 minutes. But you sit down, you look at, okay, what does my day look like tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the calendar. Okay, I've got this many appointments. I've got this and this. All right, what do I need to get done?
Yep.
And what I do is like I have all my appointments, my calls, different things that I've got in my calendar. Then I look at what do I need to get done tomorrow, and I literally start blocking off times in my calendar. Yeah. I put them right in there as if they're an appointment and say, boom, this is what I'm doing from 10 to 11 o'clock. This is what I'm doing here. And that way my entire day is organized. So, and you can also do it in the morning if you want. Some people like to get a little early and organize it that way. The problem is though, if you're not doing this or if you're doing it in the morning, what do? You get in, you open your email inbox, you see 50 emails from clients, and what do you start doing? You just start cranking through those emails. Yeah. And all of those things that you should have been getting done that day don't get done because you're just working on whatever's in front of your face.
That's right.
But not what was planned to work on.
Yes, and that's where business owners are notorious for getting caught working in the business instead of on the business. So for my one person companies that are wearing all the hats, right? My small companies that are maybe bootstrapping or whatever, this is so important. Do it the night before. You open up, especially service industry. You have your calendar, hopefully, that has all of your appointments for the day. I say hopefully.
It's not on a yellow notepad.
It's not on a yellow notepad. Hopefully it's in some sort of like Google Calendar at least, right? Appointment course, something like that. And you have all of your appointments. Well, you need to when you're working in the business, you need to then go, okay, well, I have a space right here, a break here, and a space right here. So maybe only twice that day, but you block those spots off because you still need to work within the business. And I've had people go, but what if I get another appointment for that day and then I'm losing money because I'm not? No, you're losing money because you're not working in the business. When you don't know where next month's revenue is going to come from, you're in trouble. Yeah. And that's where a lot of my service industry guys are at. They don't know. They're full for the month. They're doing really good, or next week or the next couple of weeks, but they don't know what's coming next month or the month after that. And that's where you need to get more organized, and and that's where it's so important to block off time to work in the business.
On the business.
Yeah, sorry, on the business, where you need to work on the business instead of in the business, because you're doing all those jobs. Now, as you get more employees and everything like that, it's good to have a calendar where you know what each employee is doing. And then you still need to be blocking off. And like Troy said, put it in the calendar and block it off. It will literally say, like, for instance, I have physical therapy 3 times a week. I put in my calendar, this is when I'm doing physical therapy, so that my whole team, the whole company knows where I'm at and not to disturb me because I ain't going to answer.
Right. And I love what you said about knowing what your employees are doing. Yeah. Like, for example, I looked at my calendar last night to make sure that I was ready to go for the day today.
Yep.
And I saw one of my sales guys has 10 sales calls.
Nice.
Super productive day. I'm like, look, that guy's cranking, right? Yeah. I know exactly when he's on the phone, when he's not on the phone.
Yep.
I was able to look at my customer service guys at a glance and know how busy are they going to be tomorrow on scheduled calls, and how much time do they have to work on other things for customers. Right. So once you've mastered your day, now it's time to teach your employees how to master their day.
Yeah.
And then you can get literally in 30 seconds, you can get a snapshot of everything that's going to happen tomorrow in your business.
Yeah. And I get all the time, we get people, entrepreneurs that say, hey, look, I can't get my employees to do it. You can't get your employees to do it. No, this is like mandatory to work at the company. You do this X, Y, and Z. You have to do it this way. Otherwise, how are you ever going to have checks and balances and grow the business? You have to have your employees. If an employee says to me, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do it that way, I'm not going to blah, blah, blah. Well, then you know what? They better have a darn good reason, explanation. And if it makes sense, I will actually change things. I'm not the all-knowing, but I just know a lot because I've been doing this for a long time. And I've made a lot of mistakes. I've used a lot of different programs. I've used a lot of different systems and processes. And I know what does work in my business and I know what doesn't work in my business. And helping all of these, doing the consulting for all of these years, I know it works in a lot of industries. I know It's funny when I walk in the door of a business and I'm like, so I guarantee this is how this phone call goes, and I guarantee this is how this employee is dealing with this. And they're going, dude, you know my business almost as well as I know my business. Yes, I do. You need to learn your business ins and outs, and then you need to teach your employees how you want that done. And if they won't do it, it's time to get somebody new. It's just plain and simple.
Yeah. The answer is if they say, I'm not going to do that, then the response is, okay, well, my employees will do that.
Yeah.
So you have a choice at this point. You can either, be one of my employees, or you can go work somewhere else and do something different, because, at some point you have got to put your foot down.
That's right.
And like Trevor said, not that you're the almighty, everything has to be my way, because you're always looking for ways to improve the business. And maybe there might be some better way to do it.
That's right.
That they come up with.
Absolutely.
But
hire the expert, right? And that's
right.
Let's just, this is off topic a little bit, but hire the expert. I always look to hire in a certain specific job. I want that person to be the expert in that job. I want them to be smarter at it than I am.
Right.
I hope that they are. If I'm hiring smarter people than me, I'm going to be growing. I'm going to be doing really well. So I then have to rely on them for that. But that's not always the case in every position. Not every position has that type of a person, and it's okay. You just need to still have these systems and processes in place so that things are done the right way. And then if they can add to it or improve it, make it better, that's awesome. And that'll help you grow.
Perfect. I think that's great.
Okay. Well, hey guys, we went over a lot of stuff. There are some really good systems we talked about in here. Listen to it multiple times, like we talk about every single time. You need to listen to these podcasts multiple times because we talked about multiple products. We talked about what they were for. So go through, hit the first product, and write it down. Research it. See if it's ready for your business. See if you're ready for it to implement it in your business. And then come back and listen and get the next product and check that product out. And these are the systems that we're using in our business to run 3,800 clients, 26 countries across the world, and we're running on a crew of 10 employees. we've talked about this before. Our competitors are nowhere. They're not even 1% of what we're doing, and they've got 15 to 20%, 50% more employees than we do. So we know what we're talking about with definitely making things run smoothly and lucratively. We have to make money. We all have to make money, and this is how you do it. And it might be painful. It might be painful at first. Trust me, I know. In fact, I'm not going to say it's mine. I'm going to be real with you. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. It's going to be like, man, I got to get on board with this. Then I got to get my employees on board with this. But down the road, we're thinking for the future. Unless you're planning on going away tomorrow, unless you're planning on, maybe surviving through the end of the year and then that's it, fine. Run your business how you want to run it. But if you're planning on being here in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, maybe building a legacy, you need to start today. It doesn't matter what you're doing today. You can always change and have tomorrow be better. So listen to the podcast, share the podcast, get it out there. It's on every channel, every podcast channel. It's on YouTube. We record every episode. You can check us out on YouTube. If you type in SoTellUs or SoTellUs Time into anywhere, YouTube or any podcast network, you're going to find our system. You're going to find our podcast. You're going to find all of our great knowledge. We have so many. If you're a first-time listener, go back and listen. We've got some really good podcasts from before, and we do a new podcast every single week. We record Monday and we launch Tuesday, so you can count on us to be stable, and we want to help you guys grow. We will check you guys next time. Troy, say see you later.
See you later, guys and girls.